I'm Patrick Bailey with IQList.com. Today is January 15th, 2020. And in this video, I'll be showing a bed slat fixer I designed in OpenSCAD. Okay, so recently we got a new bed for my son. And so we took his old bed and we're going to move it down into an extra room as a guest bed. But as we did that, we got informed that, you know how kids are, they don't tell you things necessarily so quickly. We got informed that the matching bed that my daughter has, the slats were broken on it, or a couple of slats were broken. So my son logically and graciously took his old slats, put them on his sister's bed, and gave me these slats, which most of the slats from her bed were fine, but there were two that were broken. And you can see, I don't know how well they show up, but fun, nasty things. And if you're unfamiliar with a slat bed, rather than springs or anything underneath it, it just has these wooden, they're not really 2x4, but it has these wooden pieces that are springy. So that acts as your spring and it works just fine. But I've had a couple of them break. I have exactly two that have broke. So I came up with an idea. I said, hey, what if I can 3D print something that fixes them? And for some who might be new to my channel, when I have some of these ideas, I kind of try to draw them out to help myself, plan out as best I can to, even though I believe it's really good to iterate your design, do a design, try it, do your design, try it. Sometimes you can reduce your numbers of tries just by doing a little bit of planning with some drawing. And this seemed rather simple to me. So the idea was I would make a sleeve that would go over this and it'd be very long and then somehow screw it in there and hold it just fine. So here's some of the measurements. So I took measurements of my actual slat. It's kind of rounded on the end in my case. It's about 80 millimeters by about roughly 20, actually 19. So here's my design. I have it set up so it's gonna be 20 millimeters on the inside, 82 millimeters out here, and then there's 5 millimeters thickness. And I'm writing all these notes, and I'm also saying, hey, I probably need to put some ridges on the bottom to make it a little bit more rigid. So anyway, I wrote all these designs down. I was gonna make it 140 millimeters long. So I was making all these notes to make my life easy. And actually, in this case, even though I usually do iterate a lot, this one actually worked on my first design, which doesn't normally happen. But even with my first design, I did print a shell that only had the oval to make sure that it actually would fit correctly as a sleeve. But with that, let me go over a few other things before I dive into the numbers. For those who maybe need a slat, depending on how many you need to fix, it might make more sense to buy new ones. So I went around and looked at some of the cheaper ones on Home Depot. It's like $35. Amazon has them for different sizes. It's like $40. Queens are bigger. Cost more. So you may look around and see. So if you have a bunch of destroyed ones, this might not be the choice because they cost, I'll go over the cost in a bit, but it's about $3 or $4 to print one of these the way I designed it. Of course, you could change it. So it depends on how many you need to fix. It might make sense to buy new slats. Anyway, so I've just put these out here on Thingiverse and on Prusa. So this happens to be on Thingiverse. It's thing 4104992. And I'll put links in the show notes. But you can go down here and download it. You can download the STL file that I made, but also it's an OpenSCAD file, so you can do some tweaks. Also, since this could move back and forth, I put some small screw holes in here, and I went to the Home Depot and I found that these worked pretty well. They're just number 8 5/8 little screws, pan head Phillips, and they're working just great. So, so there's the Thingiverse. Here's the Prusa, prusaprinters.org. And it happens to be number 17635, bed slat fixer. You can look it up and find it. Let's see, what other pictures do I have? So there's a nice picture showing how it is. So the idea being, and I'll go over it in more detail, that you have this, which is going to go over this, connect the two up, and this will be the ridges will be at the bottom. And you'll connect it both up, and it should, replace it. Now, I've tested it a bit, but I haven't actually slept in the bed, so I haven't had a full test on it, but I think it's going to work just fine based on my preliminary test. Okay, so with that, next, let's go over the details and go over the numbers. So, sorry, not numbers yet. Numbers. Let me go over, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let me go over the OpenSCAD file. So you can download the STL file and you'll get exactly this, which might fit for your bed. But I have a guess that all slats may not be equal. Speaking of, if you have this problem, let me go back to my notes. So in my case, my overall length of my slat was 86 millimeters, and its height was 19 millimeters, just to give that an indicator. And this is a little bit taller, so it fits on there. It's not tight, but it's loose. So look at your slat. This might work, but if it's a bigger slat, you may need to redesign it. But you can redo it in OpenSCAD. Now, for those who aren't unfamiliar with OpenSCAD, it is a great design tool. It's 3D design as code. And I've done a couple of videos on this, but we'll go over real briefly. This one's pretty simple. It's already set up. And so you can see it's color coded here. So for this rather simple design, all you got to do is change a few things. So here, if you wanted, if it turns out this thickness was not thick enough, you can just come over here and say, you know what, I want to double that thickness, change that to a 10, rerun this, and you'll see much thicker. Now, if it turns out the height, and that height right here is the inner height of your slat. Let's say your slat was, for some reason, 40 millimeters, or you needed that much space. You do that, and you see much wider. Or, let's see, if you decided the length, which is the length of your slat this way, if, let's say yours was, let me go back to 20 so you can see my exaggeration. Let's say your slats were much wider than mine. It turns out rather than 88, you want to be, 128. And boom, it'll readjust like that. But everything else you can see readjust in turn. So it all should just connect just fine. Let me go back to, what did I have, 88? Go back to mine. Then also the depth. Now, I probably should have thought of this. I probably should have maximized my Prusa Mini. On my Prusa Mini, I can go up to 180. But 140 works just fine right now. And I should probably, let me see. Oh, let me get my thickness back to normal. Back to 5. If I wanted it taller, I could sit here and go 180, which should be the max on my Prusa. And there we go. We adjust appropriately. So if anything, you might want to make it. If anything, if this doesn't quite work for yours, you probably want to adjust the design, and you might want to make it a little taller, which will make it a little more probably user-friendly to get everything in there. Then we also have the ridge height. So if all of a sudden you decided you want it to be thicker, which I don't think there's any reason to be, but if you wanted those ridges to be bigger, you could. You could go 40, and they get much, much bigger. I don't know why you'd want to do that. But you can also adjust the width. So if you decided, hey, you don't want it quite as wide, you can make them a little more narrow. So it's up to you. But anyway, there's that. And then also, you can't see it in this rendering because pushing this button does a quick render, not a final render. Pushing this button does a final render. And so you can't see it here, but if I do a final render, you will. The diameter of the holes, let me do a final render here. The diameter of these holes up here. And so if I do that and I look over, oh no, I messed it up. Okay. I actually put this file out there right now. So I'll go fix this because it doesn't take into account for the holes. I actually uncommented that. So I'll go fix that here in a second. Okay, backing up. If I have these holes, this holes confuses it. So if you really want to see things really well, you could do that and comment out the holes for a moment. And then you can see things nicely. Let me go back to what it should be. Even though in theory it should work, this holes confuses it on the quick render. But if I go to the actual rendering, you'll see this. It takes a little bit longer, but you'll see there's the holes that show up. Boom, boom. And if I want to make them bigger for some reason, I don't think you need to. I could change it to a 4, and now those holes will get bigger. And I'm not going to go over all the detail of the code, but if you want to go into OpenSCAD, you can. It's a lot of cool stuff. You can really tweak this file if you want. You go save that. So once you save it, let's say you tweaked a little bit, you want to make it taller, whatever. Once you're done tweaking it, you hit the STL file button here, and then you can save it as an STL file. So I'll save it to my desktop, and hopefully it's there now. Oh, let's see. Maybe not. Broken bed, flat, desktop, yeah, save it. Oh, it's there. Okay, it's there. Just gonna let me go find it. Oh, there it is, right in front of my face. Okay. And then just, simple, drop it on your slicer and slice it how you want and print it out. So I'm not going to go into details there, but easy peasy, right? But after this, before I post this video, I'll go back and fix it because the OpenSCAD that I put out there actually remove the holes, and you need that. So I'll go fix that. Okay. Next, let me go over the numbers. So the numbers for this, it took 14 hours and 19 minutes to print. It took 9.7 cents of electricity, and it weighs 0.188 kilograms. So it's a little hefty, but I want it to be hefty. And at $20 per kilogram, that comes to $3.76 worth of material. And so the total cost to print this was $3.86, which I would say, I don't want to say it's overkill, because that's probably what you're going to want, because it's going to see a lot of stress underneath your bed like that, bouncing up and down. If anything, I think the thickness is probably good. I might make it longer, if anything. So that's the numbers. And with that, let's go. I'll take it. Let me go take it to the bed right now, and let me go show you how I assemble it, and then show you how it's working. Okay, so here I'll just show you how to assemble it, how I did it. So this is going to be the bottom of the bed. And so I've already assembled this one before, but I'll reassemble it. Oh. This is the bottom of the bed. I got this upside down. Because this one I've already put this one together. So what I did, and you don't need to pre-drill any holes because these screws are kind of small. So this got a bite on the plastic, and then it gets into the wood. And then what I did, once I got one side in there, I got it just on the plastic. I don't think you need to do this, but I kind of put a little bit of pressure on there just to make sure that it's going to hold a little more together. I hope. There we go. So now let me go stick it on the bed. And again, this side's down. And then we can see well, that one I might have to reverse, huh? I think I might have put this one on a little backwards. I think I'm going to take this sleeve and put it on the other way just because this seems to be springing back this way. But earlier I did this one, and this one's fine. But I think I probably need to reverse that one. Anyway, so my bed is fixed, hopefully. We'll see how it works. Okay, I'm cracking up now. So I got the bed back together. I hopped on it a couple of times and bounced around everything. One of them was fine, and I broke one of them twice. So now one has 2 breaks in it. So, maybe it's just getting old. But I'm going to print another one out and try to fix this. Except for this time, I think I will make a longer one and try to maximize my size on my Prusa Mini. So I'll go up to 180 millimeters and just to get more. But anyway, that part's fine. I broke another part. Good times. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.